Women are nothing but machines for producing children. Napoleon Bonaparte. At first glance, it seems absurd. Who wouldn't want a man of power, ambition, dominance? But greatness comes at a price. Great men are not present. They're consumed by war, by strategy, by vision. And in that relentless pursuit of destiny, there is little room for emotional maintenance, for constant reassurance, for being tamed. Napoleon understood this not just as a ruler, but as a lover. His letters to Josephine, passionate, desperate, even pathetic, were met with cold betrayal. While he built an empire, she entertained lovers. And it struck him. Not all women desire a man's greatness. Many fear it, because greatness does not submit. It cannot be contained in a quiet home or held in place by routine affection. Greatness is demanding, unstable, hungry. And for many women, that is not love, it is threat. So they reach instead for the manageable, the safe, the mediocre. A mediocre man asks no deep questions, fights no real wars, chases no legacy. He is soft, available, and dependent. His identity revolves around her, not around a mission. And that makes him appealing, not for what he is, but for what he lacks. He lacks danger, he lacks sacrifice, he lacks the risk of abandonment that comes with a man chasing something larger than himself. Napoleon saw this dynamic clearly. Women are nothing but machines for producing children, he once said, not out of hate, but out of cold imperial calculation. He reduced them to their biological function, because in his view, most did not rise beyond it. Most did not understand the storms that live in the heart of a man who refuses to live a small life. He wasn't trying to win affection. He had long stopped caring for that. He wanted to conquer truth, even if it hurt, especially if it hurt. And what he saw time and again was this. The more a man rises, the more he walks alone, not because he chooses solitude, but because comfort, warmth, and emotional dependency cannot follow you into the fire of greatness. Look around you today. We live in a world that pretends to celebrate excellence, but only when it's convenient, when it's entertaining, when it's beautiful, when it doesn't disrupt the comfort of the crowd. But a man with real power, real depth, real vision, he terrifies people, especially in relationships. Napoleon understood this through painful experience. He was a master of war, a god of momentum, but even he was reduced to pleading in love letters, begging Josephine not to betray him. She did anyway. Why? Because power doesn't seduce the heart the way predictability does. Power may win battles, but it rarely wins emotional loyalty. Women, even those surrounded by greatness, often choose companionship over conquest. Do you think that's changed? The modern man believes if he just works harder, becomes more successful, levels up, he will finally be loved. But Napoleon would laugh at that, because he knew the bitter truth. The more exceptional you become, the less lovable you appear to those who crave stability over struggle. This is why so many women subconsciously gravitate toward men who are beneath them, men they can control, men who are grateful just to be there, mediocre men. They don't make waves. They don't demand silence while they think. They don't disappear into obsession or sacrifice today for a future only they can see. These men don't challenge a woman. They orbit her. And to be the center of someone else's universe is intoxicating. But for the man who seeks greatness, that kind of devotion is rare, almost impossible, because he doesn't orbit. He ascends, and in doing so, he threatens the foundation of modern relationships, comfort. Napoleon lived this contradiction. The man who could command armies was still seen as emotionally distant, too focused, too cold. But how else does one build an empire? How else does a man inscribe his name into the bones of history? He doesn't do it by sitting still and whispering sweet nothings. He does it by becoming more than a man. And in that transformation, he becomes less of a partner and more of a force. Do you want comfort? Or do you want legacy? Because Napoleon already knew. Most women choose the former. Every man who has tasted the bitter fruit of betrayal while building something greater than himself understands what Napoleon felt. You give everything, your time, your mind, your very soul, to a vision, only to come home and find yourself resented for it. Not appreciated, not admired. Resented, because your greatness reminds others of their mediocrity, Your focus becomes distance, your ambition, arrogance, and your silence, misinterpreted as emotional absence. But men like Napoleon weren't born to coddle. They were born to lead, to forge, to dominate. And that kind of man is incompatible with the emotional script modern relationships demand. Let me be clear. Napoleon didn't hate women. He simply recognized the truth that most men are too afraid to accept, that what a woman says she wants is often different from what she chooses. She may admire greatness in theory, but she marries convenience in practice. She praises ambition, yet builds homes with submission. And if you think love will protect you from this truth, ask yourself, why do so many brilliant, disciplined, self-made men get abandoned by those who once claimed to love them? Because love without understanding is a ticking clock. And most women don't understand what it costs a man to walk the path of discipline. The sleepless nights, the years of ridicule, the isolation, the blood, the grind. They see the result but not the war behind it. And when that war never ends, when you keep climbing instead of settling, they begin to resent the very fire they once admired. This is why Napoleon spoke with such indifference about women. He had tried the path of romantic idealism, and it failed him. Not because he was incapable of love, but because love could not keep pace with his destiny. And when a man chooses destiny over domesticity, he must also choose loneliness. That is the brutal, ancient trade-off. Power or peace, but rarely both. You can have her heart, or you can have the world. Not both. And those who try to walk the middle path are always torn apart by it. And so the great man walks alone, not because he desires solitude, but because he outgrows what the world offers in return for his obedience. Napoleon did not seek isolation. He was forced into it by the weight of vision. The higher a man climbs, the fewer understand the air he breathes. Women want to be seen, to be heard, to be held, but a man consumed by a mission has no time to tend to the fragile needs of emotional validation. He is not cold by nature, he is hardened by purpose. This is what modern society refuses to admit, that most people, including women, are terrified of the truly great, not because they're evil, but because they cannot be owned. They cannot be domesticated. You cannot predict a man who serves something higher than love, and so the world demonizes him. He's toxic, they say. He's unavailable. He doesn't listen. Of course he doesn't listen. He's busy making history. Napoleon was demonized for many things. His ambition, his conquests, his ego. But at the heart of it, he was punished for refusing to kneel, to love, to tradition, to comfort. His downfall was not his power, but the illusion that those closest to him could ever understand it. In the end, even the emperor is abandoned by the ones he fought to protect. Even the lion dies alone. And here's the final truth, the one no one wants to say out loud. A man must choose. He must choose between building an empire or building a nest. One will give him a legacy, the other will give him warmth, but never both. And while mediocre men are loved, praised, and remembered as good, it is the great men, lonely, misunderstood, exiled, who carve their names into time. So if you are a man chasing truth, chasing greatness, chasing something immortal, you must prepare to be unloved. You must prepare to be doubted, to be left, because you are not safe, and that makes you dangerous. But never forget this, the world bows to danger. But maybe you're still asking yourself, why? Why would a woman reject a man who is disciplined, visionary, relentless, a man who moves mountains? Why would she turn away from the storm that changes the world in favor of the breeze that barely moves the trees? Because the truth, the real truth, is this. Great men are mirrors. They reflect everything others are not. Their ambition reveals complacency. Their silence reveals insecurity. Their solitude exposes dependency. And for most women, no, for most people, that mirror is unbearable. To be with a man who needs nothing from you emotionally, who doesn't seek your approval, who isn't afraid to walk alone, that is not romantic. That is terrifying. It means you cannot control him. You cannot seduce him with softness or hold him hostage with affection. You can only follow or be left behind. And women don't like that gamble. They will never say it out loud, but many women do not choose men based on admiration. They choose based on emotional leverage. A man who can be molded, a man who can be counted on to stay when she cries, to pause his life when she doubts, to make her feel like the axis of his world. But the great man, He doesn't pause. He doesn't orbit. He builds, and he bleeds for it. He is not heartless, but his heart is disciplined. He is not unloving, but love is not his mission. And that makes him unreachable for the average woman, because she's not looking to walk beside a titan. She's looking for a companion who makes her feel safe, heard, and prioritized. That is the quiet, shameful reason so many women settle upward in appearance, but downward in essence. He looks like a man. He talks like a man. But inside, he is soft clay, molded by her moods, her needs, her worldview. He is not a threat to her comfort, and therefore, he is not a threat at all. And here's the bitter twist. She will never truly admire him. She may love him. She may cling to him. She may even marry him. But deep down she knows she did not choose a king. She chose a servant who looked like one. You, the man who won't kneel, the man who won't stop, the man who burns at 2 a.m., crafting something no one else sees yet. You must understand, you were never rejected for your flaws. You were rejected for your fire, for the intensity of your soul, for the fact that being with you meant she had to become more. And most are not willing. They don't want to rise, they want to rest. So don't envy the mediocre man. Pity him, because though he may be loved, he will never be respected. He will never be needed in the way that shakes the soul. He will be tolerated, used, perhaps even cherished, but never truly followed, because nothing about him leads. And as for you, you were never meant to be loved like the rest. Your life is a storm, not a lullaby. Your path is steep, not soft, and your reward will not come from comfort. It will come from conquest, not conquest over others, but conquest over yourself. The loneliness, the doubts, the whispers, telling you to just give in and be what they want. Don't. Let them go. Let her go. Let the idea of being understood go. Because you were not built for a woman's comfort, you were built for a man's purpose. And yes, it will cost you. You may walk alone, you may die misunderstood, but if you stay the course, if you endure, the world will not forget your name. Because in the end, no woman builds statues. No woman rewrites history. No woman leads nations into battle or vision into reality. Men do, and they do it alone, bleeding, focused, unloved, but unstoppable. So stop asking why she didn't choose you. You already know. She didn't want greatness. She wanted comfort. And you, my brother, are not comfort. You are danger, and the world still bows to danger.
If this video shattered your illusions, if it forced you to look at life and love with new eyes, then don't walk away quietly. Like, share, and subscribe. Support the channel by joining as a member, because truth, like greatness, is not meant to be comfortable or cheap. It is meant to set fire to everything you thought you knew. Cheers.